Hello and welcome back to another X-Wing Flights video brought to you by Out of Art Gaming. This game was filmed at Entoyment. My name is Phil and today I am joined by a very special guest and good friend of mine,
Andy Talbot.
So welcome along, Andy. Hopefully we're going to get a really good game here to have a look at and talk over. So this game was filmed about 2 weeks ago. We did try and get some commentary done the other day, but
That might have failed.
failed just a little bit. Surprise party that was even more of a surprise for us because we found out about 3 hours before. So, but we're finally getting around to doing this video. So, as is the standard format, what we're going to do is we're going to break down these lists and talk through a couple of the points as they crop up and just whatever really takes our fancy as we're going through the game. So, in this game, we have Ed on the left and you've got the list there, Andy, so did you want to break that down?
I certainly do. Ed is running he's running Fen Rao in the Fang Fighter. He's running Crassus Trellix in the Fire Spray class patrol craft, and the Black Sun Soldier in the Z95 Headhunter. Going back up to Fen Rao. Fen Rao has Fearless and Ion torpedoes.
Interesting choice to put ion torpedoes. Most people tend to run Fen with just Fearless, but
okay,
something a bit different.
Why do you think? So why is that different then? Why do you think that he's run it like that?
I think he just wants to give it like a little bit of an extra hit. Fen being an I6 gives him a chance to go before others, so gives a bit of ball control if he can get those ships ionized there.
Okay.
Especially when you're up against small base ships, you only need one ion token. Fen's really good in attack, so that can be quite helpful.
Okay, cool. And then we've got obviously Crassus Trellix in the Fire Spray. So it looks like he's dumped a hell of a lot of his points into this craft. So he's got Perceptive Co-Pilot, Seismic Charges, Veteran Tail Gunner, Ion Missiles, Munitions Failsafe, Elusive, and the title Marauder. So that's a hell of a lot of upgrades there. So
quite a stacked ship, but Fire Spray is one of those few chassis where it really does benefit to have those on there, and he's got some really, really good upgrades that hopefully we'll see used quite well, and as they come up we'll chat a little bit about those.
Absolutely. And then obviously to round off the list, the Black Sun Soldier in the Z95. It's got Ion Missiles, Munitions Failsafe, and Expert Handling. So what do you make of that last ship?
I like it. The Black Sun Soldier is quite a good little filler ship. It's a cheap ship, but it can be quite good. It's got a lot of utility in there. Again, Ion Missiles, you can see he's got Ion on 3 ships here, so it's very much about he wants to try and control where the opponent's going to go and really keep on top of them. It was quite interesting adding Expert Handling on there, not something I would have thought about. Z95 only having a native red barrel roll, the Expert Handling gives it that white barrel roll, making it that little bit more manoeuvrable. When you're running Fen, he's an arc-dodging beast, so if you've got other ships that can sort of simulate that a little bit, it's quite nice. So it's a good little list, and I know that Ed's been running this for quite a while. He's very comfortable and confident with it.
Sounds like he wants to keep that Black Sun Soldier alongside Fen then.
Yeah, so it definitely works well when it's alongside someone. All depends on what obviously the enemy's coming up against and how he's positioned, but we'll see where that goes.
Speaking of the enemy, Phil.
So, might be a bit blow my own trumpet here, but it is actually myself also on screen. I've got the Imperial Aces list here. I have Soontir Fel in the TIE Interceptor, the Grand Inquisitor in the TIE Advanced V1, and Countess Ryad in the Defender. So Soontir Fel running the classic Predator works really well with his native ability.
So when you say classic Predator, Phil, for those who actually don't know what you mean by classic, what does it do?
So with Soontir Fel, his native ability at the start of the engagement phase, if there is an enemy ship in your bullseye arc, so the small arc in the middle, you gain 1 focus token. Now Predator also works purely in the bullseye arc, so if you get that in, it works really well. So while you perform a primary attack, if the defender is in your bullseye arc, you may re-roll 1 attack dice.
Okay.
So Soontir Fel loves the bullseye arc, loves getting you in there, Again, being an I6, the TIE Interceptor is one of the most manoeuvrable ships in the game. It has the inbuilt auto thrusters so that you can do an action. Once you perform that action, you can then do a red boost or barrel roll. So you could potentially boost barrel roll boost, focus boost, etc.
Okay, great.
Really manoeuvrable, really good solid ship.
Sounds good.
We also have the Grand Inquisitor, and he is running fire control systems. Quite light on the upgrades, but with the force tokens that he gets, he has a lot of utility there as well.
Okay.
And we also have Countess Ryad in the TIE Defender with cluster missiles and fire control system. Now, I know a lot of people, again, like to run Duke on Countess Ryad. The TIE Defender's inbuilt ability, if you do a speed 3 to 5 maneuver, you can perform an evade action. Duke allowing you to basically turn an enemy's defense dice into a focus while you are evading. Normally that goes hand in hand, but it's a very expensive upgrade. So we're looking at something slightly different here with Countess Ryad. One of the reasons I picked this list, I really wanted to run Defenders. I love the Defender, it's such a good ship, but since 2.0 they've made it a lot harder to run because they're very expensive. The base ship is 67 points for your Initiative 1. So you can't use in 1.0 you used to be able to run 3 of them, which was insane, but you can't. Maximum 2 in this, and even then it's still very tricky to get 2 in because you've either got to go quite heavy with them or know that you're going to have quite a large points bid, so coming well under that.
Okay, so you say you like the Defender. What is it that you specifically like about running the Defender?
I love how it's such a fast ship. It's very tanky. 3 hull, 4 shields. On a small base ship, that's a lot of defense there. It's 3 attack and 3 agility as well. So all of those things put together, it's very good all-rounder. The inbuilt ability to get that evade, Countess Ryad's ability is absolutely insane. The ability to turn any straight maneuver into a K-turn by increasing the difficulty. It has 2, 3, 4 and 5 blue straights.
It's great.
So it increases the ability. It gets white K-turns.
It's great.
So you can K-turn and then you've got an action straight away.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's such a good ship.
Okay, so Phil, like taking your list, obviously we've started turn 1 here, and a lot of the movements have obviously gone off. So how is it that you're planning to run your ships and your list in this matchup?
Okay, so when I was looking at the list I was coming up against, my first thought was Fen Rao, I6. It's going to be a tough one.
Sure.
Because with Fearless and his ability, he's very good. He wants to get right up in your face. And he's the kind of one who gets right up at you, range 1, in your face, and loves it. He gets rerolls, he gets additional dice, it's insane.
Absolutely.
So my thought was, I've got to flank him. So, as we saw earlier, I had the Defender and the Grand Inquisitor set up next to each other with Soontir a little bit away, just to see sort of where his opening moves were, knowing that his Black Sun and Fire Spray were going to move before me. So I took the initiative and thought, I'm going to head up to the top of the board and then come back around and try and flank down on them. Obviously there's the initiative match there between Soontir Fel and Fen Rao, so if they end up in a shooting match, they'll shoot at the same time essentially. I've got the initiative in this game, so Soontir will get to shoot, but regardless of what happens to Fen Rao, he will get to shoot back. But then I've got the Grand Inquisitor and Countess Ryad who then go before Crassus and the Black Sun Soldier, so I know that I'm going to be able to get that punch in. And I wanted to swoop around and try and see what I can do and use the manoeuvrability of these ships to the best of the ability.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, which at the moment, obviously it's quite early in, but I've already covered, Soontir Fel's covered the length of the board already, and Countess Ryad and the Grand Inquisitor have also done similar there. We can see that Ed's playing it quite safe, or sort of more conservative. He's keeping his ships a bit closer together, trying to really utilise some of their arcs and some of their upgrades that they've got on there. But as we all know, best laid plans.
So you say that. So you say they're making the most of the upgrades that they've got on there. Obviously, we listed off the numerous upgrades that Crassus had. What upgrades are you specifically talking about there?
So I think on there at the moment, what Crassus is thinking about, or what Ed is thinking about with Crassus, is that he's got those seismic charges on there. We've got quite a lot of rocks here in the middle, obstacles quite close up. So if he can drop a seismic charge in there, it gives him a lot of utility. Seismic charge, when you drop that, at the end of the activation phase, it goes off. It selects an obstacle at range 1 of itself.
Yep.
And then everything at range 1 of that obstacle suffers damage. So very good card. And at the moment, if he was to say drop that now, he's got 2 obstacles that would be affecting. So it gives it sort of an extra boost onto what a normal mine could do. Again, Crassus has got the dual arc, so he's got the front and back. And ideally, what he would love to do is get someone in the front and someone in the back.
Of course, yeah.
2 3 attack dice attacks, front and back. If it can be pulled off, that is brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very well done. So not an easy thing to do. With Femrau, again, he's looking to get in and around, right into the ships. The great thing for him is he's the second to last ship to fly. Well, he's actually the last ship to fly, because Sun Tzu will fly before him.
Yep.
He has all that information. As long as he's got his first move dialed in right, he can then use his boost barrel rolls to really take advantage of his abilities.
Absolutely. There. So when you're flying in, you're obviously kind of like turning in at the top of the map there at the moment. What kind of matchups are you hoping to kind of get with your ships here when you're turning in?
Yeah, so what I'm kind of hoping here is the things I was looking at, thinking, right, Femrau I know is always going to be a danger. I could see that Crassus was coming for a sort of a straight line down the middle, so my thoughts were that I need to be in a fairly good position to get some shots onto Crassus. There's a lot of health there, 6 health, 4 shields, so there's a lot to chew through. I've got the ability to get through that. I've got some good attacking ships in there. So I'm thinking I want to get Crassus out at the moment. Those seismic charges can be really dangerous to me. The ion missiles as well, if they're able to actually land that and ionize me, it takes away all of my maneuverability.
Absolutely.
I'm then doing a 1 forward blue the next turn and only being able to focus.
Yep.
So that's the last thing I want.
Absolutely. So you're thinking alpha on Crassus with a minimal fire back from basically the other 2 ships in the list.
Absolutely.
Get that in early, get out, and then start manoeuvring around the outside of the board and come back in again.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And right here, it's actually set it up really nicely for me. Yes, Femrau's going to get a shot at me first, but range 3 through an obstacle, I'm going to get a ton of defense dice here. But I'm then also thinking, I've got Countess Ryad. Countess Ryad now has a target lock on Crassus with cluster missiles. I'm looking at this going, this is an absolutely lovely shot for me.
Oh, getting your professional laser out.
The laser is really handy. It does make it a lot easier when you've got multiple ships on the board.
Yeah, absolutely.
The only downside is if it's really close, it's a bit shaky.
Yeah. Like,
no matter how steady you are, it's a bit shaky.
Sure, it's not you, it's the laser, right?
It's the laser, yeah.
Sure.
So sometimes you need to get the stick out there. Well, so we do have a shot here. So Sun Tzu is going for it.
That looked like a lot of blank dice.
Sun Tzu rolls lots of dice. Doesn't always roll them well.
Nope.
So there's an absolute whiff there.
Good.
But yeah,
great stuff.
always sets the tone for the game when you get that in there.
It can't get any worse.
Yeah.
Got to take the positives where you can.
True. So as I said, Sun Tzu gets the first shot, Fenrir coming in again. But right now I'm looking at this thinking this looks like a really nice, tasty shot for me with cluster missiles being on Crassus, but we'll see what happens in a second. So,
Ed really wanting to roll them dice.
yeah, really want to make sure they're all. So a couple of blanks in there. So just trying to work out what he wants to do. He's obviously got the target lock on Counter-Strike. Does he want to spend it? So spent the evade there to take no damage.
Lovely.
Free evade.
Kind of what
there,
you
so-
expected from that, really, with all those evade dice, wasn't it?
Yeah. So free evade there as well, just to really help. Obviously not as good as it was in 1.0. Doesn't add an evade. It only allows you to change one dice, but still
Oh no.
can't turtle suit it well anymore. But still really good. So again, my concentration at the moment here is on Crassus. Haven't managed to get any damage to stick yet, but had one shot. Now we've got Grand Inquisitor.
Before we get into this, so what are you... Best case scenario, what are you hoping to take off of Crassus? I don't think you're expecting to do him in a complete one hit and off. So what's a good result for you after this turn?
Best case scenario, I'd like to have all the shields off Crassus so that any damage after this, with 3 ships attacking, all the damage going into after that should hopefully be going into hull, which means that's when the crits start sticking.
Absolutely.
I mean, we just saw there, Grand Inquisitor managed
No way to regenerate shields?
No way to regenerate shields on this one, no. There are a few things that can do it, but not within this list.
Fine.
And we've got a cluster missile shot, like I said. Which is exactly what I wanted.
Damage.
And that's good damage.
Looks like 3 damage to me.
Yeah. Well, we got 1 that was a... So it's actually 2 damage.
2 damage.
Fire control system, keeping that target lock there. And 2 evade, so no damage there. But...
Sneaky.
This is where I was quite happy with this shot.
Okay.
Because cluster missiles allows you to do a bonus attack against another enemy within range 0 to 1.
Okay.
We have Fenral right there.
Absolutely, we do.
One of the things that I do like about Fenral as an opponent is he has
no shields?
No shields. So crits stick. So that's quite good. Now there was an interesting point here, and there was a little bit of a pause while we were trying to work it out, but with the cluster missiles, the question was raised that does the rock count on the bonus attack on cluster missiles? Now we were actually trying to look into this. So there's a bit of a pause in the
Interesting.
game. We were looking at it from like multiple angles. So
or one specific angle actually through the rock, right?
Yeah, one specific angle, obviously from Countess Rad to Crassus.
Yeah.
But then the bonus attack, does the bonus attack count as coming from essentially from Countess Riot, or does the bonus attack go from Crassus?
Absolutely.
So it's not very clear. We have a look at the FAQ, we couldn't see it. We tried to look online, and we got so many answers where some people say, yes, the obstacle counts, and then no, the obstacle doesn't count.
Okay.
We ended up deciding, you know what? If we can't find the answer, I mean, this is a casual game. It's not tournament style, so we're not going to be there like, Tio, we need an answer.
Yeah.
So we're like, in the end, and you'll see it in a moment, we went, okay, only way to decide it,
roll
dice.
Roll.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
It was like, hits.
All fair.
Hits, it counts, misses, it doesn't.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. So obviously anybody listened to the video, anything that Phil couldn't find, Ed couldn't find during the game, I'm not exactly a whiz with it either, so let us know what is the right decision there. Where does it stay in the rules? Just let us know.
Yeah.
That'd be really, really useful. For me, personally, just making a call now, you're not measuring anything through that rock to get that attack. So the origin of that attack comes from being within 1 of another ship. Therefore, you're not measuring anything through that rock.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a no. I think you get that full damage.
Yeah.
Just in the same sense of like, do you get any benefits for being? Because you're not getting the benefit for being in 1, are you? So to me, you don't get the benefit. You don't get the discounts for shooting through a rock. So
I mean, one of the things that is clear with missiles anyway is that they do actually have the little missile icon which says you obviously don't get the range 1 bonus or the range 3 bonus.
Fine.
So that's already clarified. So that's brilliant. Again, it was a really tough one, and we spent a bit of time trying to talk it over. Ed's a really reasonable guy. We just had that chat. We said, look, we can't find the answer.
No, I think that's always the best way.
We're here to have fun.
Absolutely.
So let's just roll on it. But if anyone does know the answer or has had any clarity on this answer, feel free to drop a comment. I would love to hear your opinion on why you think it's one way or the other, or if you actually know the answer, that would be fantastic.
That'd be great.
It's one of those odd ones that it very rarely comes up, but it just happened to come up on video, so it gave a nice little interesting point in there. And it's at this point that we decide to roll for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but again, that's one of the great things about.
So this is what's going to make or break the game. No bonus.
No bonus.
No bonus.
Fenral only gets 3 evade dice.
Aww.
Sad Fen.
Everybody sheds a single tear, I'm sure.
So, but we'll see how this comes up. So 2 hits. So 2 hits there for the bonus attack on cluster missiles, and 2 focuses rolled there. No focus on Fen, so Fen takes 2 hits. So that is actually half points on Fen. So
Lovely.
my initial thought was get 4 shields off Crassus, see if I can do any damage on Fen. Didn't get those shields, but I did get half on Fen, which
Absolutely.
against a ship like Fen, it's only 38 points, but it's half points in Fen.
Yeah,
Which is fantastic.
that's great. It means that he's got to be far more cautious with him now as well, surely.
Absolutely. I mean, if I'd have got a crit on there, that would have been brilliant, but...
I think you're pushing it there at this point, yeah.
Yeah. But I think 2 damage on Fen, so
Yeah.
all in all, and we've still got Crassus to attack back in the initiative 3 step there. And it's a good 1-hit crit. And there we go, that's the first shield lost on Countess Ryad. Now, I think for a first round of engagement, I think I was really happy with how that came out.
Absolutely, I would be.
I lost 1 shield to half points on Fen and 2 shields down on Crassus. So all in all, that was a really good round.
Oh yeah, you've definitely come off better in that exchange without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, looks interesting. So at this point then, where are you? What's an ideal next turn for you? Where do you want to move? Obviously, Crassus has got that double arc, so he's got a good way of being aggressive. If you go behind him, still going to get those shots. If you split up, he's predominantly going to get that double shot that you spoke about before. So, are you thinking of staying in a single cluster at this point to try to avoid that multiple shot, or do you think splitting up at this point is going to suit you more?
So,
obviously, I'm saying this with what the hell you're going to do.
well, we've been trying. Well, to be honest, I'm also trying to remember what I did. I mean, since it's been about 2 weeks since we've filmed this game, and I have played another game in that time. But I mean, looking at it, time on target is going to be a big thing. Crassus has got a lot of health, so you want to try and get as much damage in there as quickly as possible. However, my ships don't have as much health. Yes, they've got good evasion tactics in there.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's
glass cannons, as some people say.
I mean, Soontir is probably one of the most glass cannons in the game.
Absolutely. I mean, you said about Fenrau having no shields. There you go.
Soontir has no shields and
hull.
only 3 hulls. So Fenrau having that 1 extra hull, and it's a bit of a debate. I mean, I love Soontir, and I have since first edition.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
He's always been one of my favourite ships. I love the Interceptor. It's my top Imperial ship for me.
Yeah. Luke Skywalker in an X-wing, mate. Love it.
I mean, Luke's good. The Force is absolutely brilliant, and it was a very welcome addition in 2nd edition.
Absolutely.
But like I said, for me, I want to try and keep guns on target. I want to see if I can get some more damage onto Crassus. Again, I also want to be really careful about how close I do actually get.
Yeah.
That seismic charge is going to be scary. And you've got the Black Sun Soldier down the bottom there, who is just going to swing in. He didn't have any interactions last round, but if he swings in, gets a good shot, and I'm not paying attention to it,
absolutely,
that could be him. That could be him doing some serious damage quite quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's only 2 attacks, 2 attack dice, but with that ion missile, he's in a good position to really control some movement there.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a reasonably swift ship as well, isn't he? So
yeah, he's got a pretty good dial. I mean,
3 hards.
Yeah.
So I can imagine you could see that.
Yeah.
In there. So
yeah,
it's interesting. It's interesting. So why do you think Crassus is kind of made his way out there? Do you think it's a seismic charge out of the back into the rock in the middle of the board there, or
very much for me, I am looking at it thinking, right, he can see where my ships are. Yes, they're fast, but right now if that was me flying Crassus, I'd probably do something similar, knowing that I can still shoot out the back, which is fantastic, but also I'm gonna make the other player think I've got board control here with a seismic charge. A seismic charge dropped out the back there has the potential for hitting most likely the 2 obstacles there. So you've got that little asteroid right behind Crassus and the gas cloud further down. I think that it's got a chance of hitting both of those, which means that's two big areas that it then makes your opponent think, I've got to be aware of those.
Absolutely. So run us through what seismic charges drops. It's within one of both of those obstacles. What happens if that actually happens?
So seismic charge, when it drops, at the end of the activation phase, it can select an obstacle at range 1 of itself. That obstacle then detonates, and anything within range 1 of that obstacle then suffers damage. So it's a very, very strong card. It removes the obstacle as well. So I've seen it used against some ships which are very much in favour of using obstacles.
Things like trick shot and other bits.
You've got blackout as well. The First Order likes obstacles. Han Solo likes obstacles.
It certainly does.
It's quite good if you can get rid of those.
Absolutely. So what damage would it do?
Off the top of my head, I will need to actually have a quick look at that. So if you bear with me 1 second, there are so many different bits that it is difficult to try and remember them all. So with that, you would suffer 1 damage.
Okay.
So it's only a straight damage, but that's the difference between half points or potentially no shields.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you look at Sentir, right? If he's in range of both of those obstacles, does he take 2, or does he still just take 1?
Only takes 1 obstacle.
Okay.
Can't take both. Otherwise, it'd be definitely more than the 3 points it costs.
I mean, how often is that scenario going to come up? I think that'd be alright.
Maybe they could do that for like an epic rules.
Yeah, I love it.
I mean, with some of the bombs, there are some interesting tactics there. So
okay, so that's the moves now for probably turn 3. We're looking at.
We're just waiting on Fen Rao. So what we can see there is that it looks like I actually anticipated the Black Sun Soldier coming in from the bottom there. So left the defender to sort of take him on, as it were. I think as well, because of the position of the obstacle that was in front of Counter-Strike, it would be difficult to keep it swinging in onto Crassus.
Absolutely.
However, the Grand Inquisitor was able to keep guns on target there. And then Sun Tifel trying to make the most of his manoeuvrability to get up, but also avoid the obstacle for next turn. Right now, his arc is looking at both Crassus and the Black Sun Soldier, knowing that Fen Rao's going to come in after. Now, it's at this point that I got a tiny bit concerned, because we've now got Fen Rao in range 1 of 2 of my ships.
You certainly do.
I also have Fen Rao in range 1 of Sun Tifel, both within each other's firing arcs, which is the exact point that Fen Rao loves to be.
Yep.
However, I'm quite fortunate in that Fen Rao's in my bullseye, and I get to shoot first, so I can do what I want.
Well, it's the initiative 6 thing that you spoke about before, right? So in this step, you would at least both get to shoot. So it's a case of kind of. Do you think he's gone for the fact that look, Fen Rao is already at half damage? If he can now take out Sun Tifel in one fell swoop by giving up Fen Rao, he's negated your first turn benefit with all of that.
And what we can see here is that I got 2 hits, 2 focuses. I spent my focus to get the 4.
Yep.
And Fen Rao rolled
Didn't
4
do
blank,
much.
Used his ability to get an evade. So Fen Rao is off. So
gone.
Great work. Fen Rao has gone from the board. He hasn't really done much.
No.
Now Fen Rao does get to shoot back. So this is where the I6 step comes in. So I wasn't able to initiative kill him per se. But
or
I was,
at all.
Or at all. I mean, if it was initiative 5 right here, it would be nothing for him. But because it's initiative 6, he does get to shoot back. So I
can't say I'm going to be unhappy if Sun Tifel goes down here, I'll be honest.
We do like this far too much. No, we love Sun Tifel.
We is a strong term.
Oh, I use the royal we here.
Are you a royal?
Well, no. But you've got the Counter-Strike, you've got the Royal Guard tie colour scheme. And here we go. So using the focus to get 5 hits.
Wow. Good.
And that's
good effort.
Well, I can almost imagine that the viewers would probably anticipate that exact scenario happening, because Sun Tifel might get evades and focuses and all those things, and he gets 3 evade dice, but as we know, Soontir Fel does not like rolling green dice. When he rolls green dice, he rolls blanks and dies.
Oh no.
But at the moment, the advantage I still have here is that the Grand Inquisitor and Countess Ryad have the higher initiative than the other 2 ships. So that's good for me.
Absolutely. I think, like we kind of said before, Fenrau taking that 2 damage from the cluster missile early on made him fragile anyway. I think, to be honest with you, Ed would probably be happy at that point knowing that he's on 2 hull to basically trade with Soontir at that point. And play the 2v2 game, at least from my perspective anyway. But it is interesting here, obviously you do have kind of 2 one-on-one matchups here. It's going to be a pretty make or break game if there's a swing of a dice in this turn, right?
Yeah.
Not if you roll like that though.
Oh yeah, not if you roll like that.
Or like that.
So there's nothing more heartbreaking than re-rolling dice and getting the exact same
not
result.
for your opponent.
Your opponent loves it, but re-rolling 2 blanks and getting 2 blanks is just frustrating. Now, a great little play there. Crassus has the Grand Inquisitor in range 1.
Yep.
Didn't get a bonus dice because of the Grand Inquisitor's ability.
Interesting.
He can actually spend a force. So his ability reads, while you defend at range 1, you may spend 1 force to prevent the range 1 bonus.
Okay.
So that means they don't get that extra dice. The rest of the ability, while you perform an attack against a defender at attack range 2 to 3, you may spend 1 force to apply the range 1 bonus.
Okay, so you've done both of those in this turn.
In this turn, I haven't actually done both of those. I used a force to change one of the dice earlier, but I did use that second force to stop Crassus getting 4 dice back at me.
Fair.
Because that's quite scary to the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor only has 3 evade dice, so 4 dice coming back at me with multiple focuses from Crassus Trellis because of Perceptive Copilot, allowing it to get, when it focuses, to get an additional focus, is a really good upgrade card. It's an expensive upgrade card, but I think it is 8 points. I think it's well worth those 8 points on if you're using it on the right ships and for the right.
Absolutely, I think if you pair that with the fact that Crassus has that potential for multiple attacks, right? Having 2 focuses is great because it can in those turns where the damage output of him basically doubles. 2 focuses is exactly what you're going to need in those kind of turns, right? And it's just having the double there, even if you've got a single attack, gives you that bonus in defense, right? It's a bigger base ship. It's going to have less evades. Having that focus there is always just a nice little added bonus.
Yeah, it's great action economy for the ship, especially with in this
action economy. Ooh.
Yeah, I've learned things. Especially in this matchup as well, where Crassus is going to be shooting after everything else, so it's likely to be get at least 1 attack on it first.
Right.
So it gives it almost 1 focus for defense, 1 focus for attack, which is great. And if it has both focus left at the end, it's probably there going, you know what, I've done all right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, off the back of that round, obviously we lost Fenrau and Soontir from the table, so slightly less...
2 small single tiers.
2 small single tiers, 1 for Ed, 1 for me. But no other damage on there, so a lot of good. There were some good attacks, but again, really good evading there. So you can really see the green dice working hard there, which is not always the case. But we now,
especially for Soontir.
I miss Soontir already. But again, we do have like 2 one-on-ones here. So we've essentially got a joust going on here with Countess Ryad and the Black Sun Soldier. So it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to do in the next turn. Crassus is probably going to be quite happy with the Grand Inquisitor behind her. Crassus has that rear-facing arc, so she knows that she's going to keep him, hopefully, guns on target there. I think that earlier we were talking about the seismic charge. If I was Ed, depending on what the Black Sun Soldier is going to do, I'd be very cautious about doing that seismic charge right now. Because at the moment, knowing Counter-Stride's ability of basically having ridiculously good white K-turns,
yes,
you kind of got to think that you're facing at each other, you're almost guaranteeing that Counter-Stride's going to do a K-turn.
Okay, real quick, for people that don't understand, you said has real easy access to white K-turns. How?
So again, that's Counter-Stride's ability.
Okay.
So she can decide to turn any straight maneuver into a K-turn by increasing that difficulty.
Okay.
She has the 2, 3, 4, and 5 straights, which are blue, which normally are the easiest maneuvers, so remove stress, etc. You would then turn them into white K-turns, which is almost unheard of in the game. White K-turns are great. I mean, the ship itself actually has a 2 red K-turn and a 4 white K-turn on the dial natively. But anyone that's using Counter's Ride is never going to dial in that 2 red K-turn, because they'll just dial in the 2 blue and say, yeah, I'm going to turn it into a K-turn, and it's white. Yeah,
it's an interesting manoeuvre to be on there, though, and if that's the base cards ability.
For the other ships, for the other pilots on that ship, they don't have that ability, so they still get that 4 white K-turn, which is great and crazy good. But then they still get that 2 red K-turn, so that's
okay.
So this is only Counter's Ride. That's her ability.
Right, it's hers, not the ship's.
Hers, not the ship's. The ship's ability allows it to have that evade token if it does a 3 to 5.
Right.
And as you see, the Black Sun Soldier has done that K-turn. Counter's Ride has also done the K-turn, and that is what has caused Crassus to not drop a seismic charge. Because in preparation of that, otherwise, if she'd have dropped the seismic charge right now, the Black Sun Soldier would be eating a damage. And at this point, you don't want that Black Sun Soldier to eat a damage.
Absolutely not.
When it doesn't need to. So yes, it probably could have... It could have possibly caused damage there, but again, Countess Riot is now far enough away that if it was the asteroid in the middle there, it wouldn't affect her. And the Inquisitor is moving off. So the Inquisitor would also now be out of range there. Now the Inquisitor's got a really, really tough choice. What action does he want to do right now? Still being targeted at the moment. So it's got a boost, which probably wouldn't fit. We're looking at a barrel roll here. Now, I think one of the reasons we're looking at a barrel roll here is to see if it can shave that arc.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's in that sort of like area.
You have to get your laser pointer out, aren't you?
I think with this, you're going to be more likely to get the actual stick out, so it's a bit straight, a bit more even. But it's a great hit again. Another great range 1. So 2 crits on Crassus. Still got the shield, so the crits won't stick, but spending the focus, so that's 1 shield off Crassus. So a little bit less than what I would have ideally liked, but damage on the target is damage on the target.
Absolutely.
Now down here, I don't think I'm going to be able to get rid of the Black Sun Soldier, but I want to get as much damage in there as possible.
This matchup, though, I think over if it stays a 1-on-1 matchup between these 2 ships, odds are you're quite happy to win this 1-on-1 duel, right?
And in that case, 3 damage there from 1 attack. Ooh. So the Black Sun Soldier is now down to 1 hull.
Wow.
It's not unexpected. It only has 2 evade dice, and the Defender is a very, very good ship.
Yeah.
Hence the crazy points on the Defender. I mean, Countess Riot in her setup here is 86 points.
Wow.
So that is nearly half the list.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what's that, like over double, far over double, what, 2.5 of a Black Sun Soldier?
Yeah, nearly triple the Black Sun Soldier. The Black Sun Soldier, there's 30 points. So, having a look at that, so 2 dice rolls there. So, Crassus was not in arc.
Interesting.
So, the Inquisitor managed to arc dodge there, which was fantastic. 2 shots back from the Black Sun, unfortunately. Well, no, looks like we're going back to double check that. So we decided to do the Black Sun first, but no damage there from the Black Sun. So Countess Riot was very much loving that exchange there. So again, we've said it a couple of times. The laser is really good for sort of like quick check to see if you've got lots of ships in the way. If you can, I would always suggest using your actual templates, because you can sort of lay them down. The body shake when you're using the laser, when you start trying to look at the fine bits there, it is actually really easy to see.
Yeah, I'm sure most Jedis prefer sticks to lasers.
I mean, they prefer, yeah. I mean, they might
I'm
prefer to call it a
just
saber.
disappointed, Phil. Star Wars fan just likes something that isn't a laser. I'm very disappointed in you.
Hey, I'm a Star Wars fan. I love pew pew sounds.
Pew pew noises.
I mean, if you're going to be playing this game, you're going to be doing the pew pew noises. Someone uses a seismic charge. You're going to be wanting to try and fake that sound.
Absolutely, you get your Dolby 7.1 surround sound out for that point, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to give it a go, and you're going to sound like an idiot, as I did about 2 seconds ago. But
no.
But yeah, so that was really good play there by the Grand Inquisitor, managing to barrel roll just out of the arc, which meant that he essentially got a free attack there.
If you do say so yourself.
If I do say so.
Yeah, well done, Phil. Well done. Pat yourself on the back there, Phil. Well done. Well done.
Do. I mean, if I'd seen anyone else do that, I'd just be like, you know what? Wow. I mean, like I've seen over the many games I've played, I've seen some really, really good flying, like around obstacles. Some points where I've looked at it and gone, like, they're getting really close to the edge of the board there, and you're thinking, you're going off, there's nothing you can do, and they time it perfectly. In the last video that we did, actually, Quinn had it was a Sarge Ventress in the Lancer, quite well known for its 5k turn. On a large base ship, that's huge, and he was pointing right towards the corner of the board, and he dialed in that K10. I was thinking, that's a tough one, mate. That's a tough one. Pulled it off. Amazing. And you're just like, you know what? Fair play. Little round of applause for that, because it's great. It's always more fun when you get some really good flying in there.
Absolutely. Right, so start of what will be turn 5?
I think I've lost track of the turns.
I'm going to go with 5.
Yeah.
You know, we'll pretend that there's been 4 more before this. So turn 5. So we started moving here. So the Black Sun Soldier has done his initial move now, which I believe was a 3 bank.
I think it was actually, if you have a look at the dial, because I think it was a 2 bank, because it got rid of the stress.
It was a 2 bank, because that is one of the blue maneuvers. So that does make far more sense.
Yeah, so he's got a real tough choice there. He's got a defender facing him. He's got to turn. He's got to do something blue because he's got nowhere really staying. Like
he's got 1 hull. He's shooting afterwards.
Yeah.
He basically needs to get out of dodge and engage out of arc.
Yeah. Which, unfortunately, when you're against a defender that is, well, even if it was stressed, it has access to those K-turns.
Yes.
So even if it wasn't counters right and it was stressed, it would still have access to that white 4K turn. So you know that that's a really tricky position to be in.
Absolutely.
You've either got to be really clever or just get out of there. And I think at that point he's trying to get out of there. Crassus obviously in a position now where she has to turn around because she was facing the boardage.
She was.
Not really much else she could do there. So having a turn around, again, the 2 arcs on there in most situations are really good. And having that boost makes that ship such a maneuverable ship.
Yeah.
It's like, for a medium-based ship, it can cover a lot of board space. And those medium-based ships, I'm not going to lie, they can be quite tricky to fly because it's still, there aren't that many of them in the game. And it takes a lot of, you kind of get used to where a small base ship or a large base ship is going to end up, because if you've been playing 1.0.
Exactly, it's experience, right?
Yeah.
So if you've been playing 1.0, even for somebody as like novice as I am, I must have flown like a medium base ship twice, and it's very, very new. You kind of just get used to the small and the large base ships a hell of a lot easier, just due to the number of games that you've played. So yeah, I totally agree with you there.
And it's also quite nice because the small base ship is essentially a 1 speed token, and the large base ship is a 2 speed token. So they have like a direct correlation to each other,
Yep.
whereas the medium is 1.5. So
Yeah.
it's still tricky, but again, I think it's a really good addition to the game, and I think it helps certain ships, because there were some ships that were on small bases that didn't feel right. There were some ships on large bases that didn't feel right. It gives a bit more of a clearer definition there.
Absolutely.
So again, I think the Inquisitor has done another cheeky barrel roll, which is going to annoy
Barrel
Crassus
roll.
there. Final
Absolutely.
shield gone down. So, I mean, I wanted that shield down about 3 rounds ago, but I finally got it.
I'm pretty sure turn 1 you said that you'd like to have his shields down.
Yeah. It took a bit longer than I was hoping for, but again, we've lost Fenral's down,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
out of arc, and unfortunately wasn't able to keep arc with the defender, so the Black Sun Soldier lives to fight another day.
I mean, I think that's literally him for the game, though, right? Trying to lead that defender around and maybe take 1 or 2 pot shots. Maybe let Crassus come back around.
Yeah.
And try to deal with him in a more favourable matchup. But it'd be interesting to see what happens in the next Dials phase, because Crassus, obviously, he's going to have to avoid that asteroid directly in front of him. Which would lead me to believe he's going to go towards the top of the board there. If he does, that blocks off a lot of space for the Grand Inquisitor to actually move into, stay out of arc, and maintain in arc as he has done for the past couple of turns. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not he can block you up in this and cause you to bump.
Yeah. I mean, stay on target shouldn't be too bad, because the Grand Inquisitor's got a fairly good dial.
Right.
It's got the 1 bank and 1 hearts, which are blue. It doesn't have the 1 forward, unfortunately, but it does have a good one. So in that position, I agree. I believe Crassus is going to have to do a 1 heart to the top, unless she just wants to run the risk of potentially taking damage. But with an enemy that close, you don't want to take unnecessary damage. You also don't want to forfeit your action step either.
Absolutely not.
At this point, Crassus needs her actions.
Yeah.
The Black Sun Soldier, to continue to hang around, is doing really well, because it's keeping the Countess Riot out of that engagement, allowing Crassus to survive that bit longer. Crassus does not want to be... Oh, and there we go, and there's the 1 hard up to the top of the board.
That's very good.
But yeah, as I said, Crassus doesn't want to have both ships on her at the same time, because that's a death wish for Crassus, unless she can get... If she was to get a really good seismic charge off, that would be brilliant. But at this point, she wants to be one-on-one with someone and hopefully try and keep those guns
Yeah,
on.
you're right. Like we said, Black Sun Soldier is basically, it needs to lead Countess Riot on a little bit of a merry dance and just kind of keep it occupied until Crassus is in a position to come back and deal with it. It's just whether or not it can hold out for that amount of time. I guess we'll wait and see. Where's it going to move this turn?
Yeah. So, the Black Sun Soldier is doing its K10, which I think at this point is probably one of the only options it really has.
Sure.
It's a tough one. I mean, it knows it's going to go down. Well, it believes it's going to go down. So, if it can turn around, possibly...
That's just a defeatist attitude, that is.
Yeah. I mean, if the Black Sun Soldier does survive this round of shooting from Countess Riot, it then gets another shot back. So it could run away and get nothing, or it can try and face its opponent and do what it can. Unfortunately, this is where the maneuverability of the defender comes in. So it has dropped itself out of the Black Sun's arc. So I think it's going to be sad days for the Black Sun.
Interesting. Oh, we've got a bump. Bump on the rock.
Hold on.
Okay, you can get your hand out of the way.
It's not on the rock.
Oh,
However, if it
is a bump though.
It is a bump, so no shooting there from Crassus and the Inquisitor, which is good for Crassus in not getting damaged. But if it had have actually completed that maneuver, it would have landed on the rock. So it's actually good for the Inquisitor overall. So, unfortunately, that's 3 crits onto the Black Sun. So knowing it's going to go down. So it took 2 crits. So it took a wounded pilot and a weapons failure. We definitely know the pilot is wounded because he's dead.
Very much so.
We're pretty sure that those weapons
I'm pretty sure the weapons have failed miserably.
As we've seen with Biggs in A New Hope, when the ship was destroyed.
Don't remind me.
F's in the chat for Biggs.
Ugh. So, so back to Dials on this one then. So I suppose where are we expecting Crassus to go in this one? So obviously got to hold out now. Got to pretty much have a big damage phase now, I think, against the Grand Inquisitor to really stand a chance before Countess Ryad actually gets back over there to finish off the job. Really. I'm expecting a one hard to the right just to maximise if you need to move the Grand Inquisitor either in front or behind. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously, if you're going to go short, I think he's going to drop the seismic charge.
Which he has actually just dropped the seismic charge. What he's done there, rather than put the seismic charge where it would normally go, because the seismic charge doesn't actually... It isn't dependent on where... So one hard up. It isn't dependent on where it is unless it was going to go to multiple. We can clearly see that seismic charge is only able to affect that asteroid. That asteroid is where we need to... So just for ease of play, you just put it straight on the asteroid.
Fair enough.
Because we know that it's from one of that asteroid.
Yep.
Now, obviously, the Grand Inquisitor now has that decision to make of what does he do about that? Is he going to do something small and potentially take damage, or does he want to get away from that?
Yeah.
Maybe take a longer range shot, or maybe just be off target for a little bit. Countess Ryad's absolutely safe. She's just got to get herself back in, but she is an extremely fast ship. She can get back in there so quickly. We've already spoken about it a few times. It's got that 5 straight. So what the Inquisitor's done, anticipating the seismic charge and the fact that Crassus was going to go either up or down, thinking that K-turn is going to overstep that, and it's worked absolutely fine. So he's avoided that asteroid going up there.
Yep.
So really good play. One of the slight downsides here for Crassus is taking out that asteroid. It's now meant it's actually opened up a little bit more of an easier approach for Countess Ryad to get back in there. It doesn't have to try and feed through those 2 asteroids. So...
Yeah, it's got a straight shot now.
Yeah. So, Grand Inquisitor is going to take a shot again here. Using the Force to get that range 1 attack. For doing it at range 2 to 3. And we've got a good couple. So, spending the final Force there. 2 hits. Now, it doesn't stop Crassus from getting the range bonus there for being at range 3. It only adds it to the Inquisitor for range 1, but no damage there, which is a bit of a shame. Obviously, missed a turn of attack earlier, so everybody gets damage. And multiple dice there for the Inquisitor, laughing off.
Oh no.
So, I mean, it was a scary position to be in, though. Stressed with nowhere modifying the dice, even though having 4 blue dice. I mean, we saw Soon Tifel go down so quick.
Absolutely.
That would have been the ideal point for Crassus to get some real time on target.
Yeah, it really would have.
There, but didn't quite work out, unfortunately.
I mean, you say unfortunately. I'm guessing you're pretty happy about that.
I mean, for me being the player on the board, yeah, I'm happy about that. For Ed, obviously, it is unfortunate. He's seen 2 of his other ships go down. He's now in quite a bit of a hole when it comes to it. He's got 2 very manoeuvrable, very quick ships, which can output quite a lot of damage quite quickly. So he's now got to really think, what do I do? Do I continue trying to take down the Inquisitor and hope that I can get as much damage on him before Countess Ryad comes in? Or does he switch it up to the defender to hope?
I think for me, if I'm just trying to play the numbers game here, unless I've got this wrong, which I'm sure you can correct me, you're rolling the same evade dice for both ships.
Yeah.
So I would go with the one with the less shields and the less hull to get your damage output down as quickly as possible at this point. So yes, in my opinion, you do keep going for the Grand Inquisitor. and then you just hope and pray that you can do that quick enough to still have enough damage output and enough hull to then do the same with Countess Riot. It's an uphill battle, absolutely, but it just takes one of those kind of turns where your green dice turn into all Sun TFL dice, and you can get right back in this game. Is
that what we're calling it now?
Absolutely.
If it whiffs, it's a Sun TFL dice.
Absolutely, it's doing a Sun tier.
I like that. I hope it doesn't stick. But no, I completely agree. With just 3 evade dice on both, you kind of want to take out which one has got the less health. You take 2 shields off the Grand Inquisitor, you've suddenly got half points there.
Yep.
You need to get all 4 shields off Countess Riot to have half health.
Yep.
Yes, there's more points on Countess Riot, but again, there is at this point 2/3 the damage.
Yeah, it's not going to get you back into the game just getting half points for the ship with more shields and hull. At this point, I think you go for broke.
Yeah. Well, it would appear that it's got an even more of an uphill battle there, in that extra damage that's just gone in on Crassus has actually given me half points there.
Oh.
Which has now put me at 97 points over. So at this stage, Ed needs to wipe off...
Pray.
But Ed's win scenario here is to take off the Grand Inquisitor and get half on Countess Riot and survive. That is the win conditions for Ed. Unless he's somehow
managed to kill both ships.
Kill both ships.
There you go. Well, easy. Why are you overcomplicating it?
What you've also got to look at is the time frame there. Though you've got just under 20 minutes left in the game.
Yeah.
So you've got to think what is feasible. Now, taking the Grand Inquisitor out, whilst tough, is possible. That is not going to be very helpful, though.
Oops.
Bumping into the Grand Inquisitor, unless that was a deliberate action, it's going to make it difficult. No actions now there for Crassus, which is going to make it very tough. Admittedly, the Inquisitor is potentially going to be facing the wrong way, but we know that Countess Riot is more than happy to do a smaller manoeuvre to get right in there. And in fact, Countess Riot anticipating that Crassus is going to move faster than that, but the reposition there means that Countess Riot is still happy with that positioning.
Interesting. I mean, now, so that kind of puts you out of too close for missile range, right? Orion missiles 2 to 3.
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but you'd still need the target lock anyway, which Crassus doesn't have the target lock.
Of course.
Just a quick one there for guys watching at home. You may have seen what looked like a really odd way of moving the Inquisitor there. Now, because Crassus and the Inquisitor are bumped, the Inquisitor had actually done a 1 hard to the right. Now, rather than marking up Crassus or trying to balance the template over the top, what I did there was I actually put the template to the side, because that template, where it goes at that 90 degrees, if you line it up with that middle notch on the side and then put it around as though it was doing the manoeuvre normally, but line it up with the middle, it does the exact same shape as if you were doing a 1 hard from the front to back. So if you do it from right to left and keep the orientation right, it's a really good way of doing it and helping to speed up play.
Sounds a bit gamey to me. If I were Ed, I'd want a rematch. I'd call this null and void.
Well, I've seen some of the games you played, and you definitely called it null and void at some point.
Oh, throwing shade.
I mean, your opponent definitely didn't call it null and void, but in your head it was. But at that point as well, the Inquisitor, knowing that there wasn't really much going to be going on for him there, decided to take the evade. Wasn't going to be the target lock. Knew it wasn't going to get shot, so threw a target lock down, which is always a really good idea. We've just had some shooting back from... Well, that was a very boring shooting phase by the sounds, but I'm kind of glad we talked over it. No damage either way, from 2 range 1 shots. No damage onto Countess Riot or Crassus. That's like a really boring...
Was there even a turn?
No turn. No turn there at all.
there'll be a timestamp in the description for you to skip that turn, and then come back at the top of 7. We're going to pretend we're keeping count and say this is turn 7.
Yep.
So,
Why not turn 7? I think. You know what? You never keep count of turns in X-Wing. If they had like a designated amount of time between turns, maybe. But
I'm keeping count.
Well, sometimes
I think.
You think. If anyone has been keeping count of the turns,
I don't want to know if I'm wrong. I want to live in this happy bubble that I'm in at turn 7.
I want to know if it's wrong, to be honest. So timestamp it and let us know. Is Andy wrong about the turns?
Probably. I'm still going to live in blissful ignorance.
Absolutely. He's not going to read the comments, but I am. So again, Crassus just doing what it does. Again, little bump there of the defender, but this is a casual game. It's not tournament, so we're just here to have fun. If it was a tournament, that ship would be back where it belongs.
What you don't see is Phil flipping the other table off camera at this point and just throwing an absolute rager.
Absolutely. I think Crassus is doing the best thing that Crassus can do right now, which is to try and get into a position to be as out of arc of at least one of those ships as possible. The Inquisitor's got a really easy time of turning round. It's just if the defender can actually get back round. Looking at it, it's going to be a tough one. The boost might get it back. Yeah, I think the boost would get it back in arc, actually.
Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah, it's quite difficult sometimes to see with this angle that we've got the camera at. But obviously, we've chosen this angle. It's an angle that people are familiar with, and I think it actually you could do top down, but I just don't think top down looks good. I think it looks a bit 2D when you go top down. I like this. It has a bit more dynamicism.
I like both. A bit right. So some of my favourite things that I've seen flip between the two.
Yeah. If we could flip between the two.
Movement, give me top down so I can see exactly what's happening, all of the angles, and I can kind of play along at home where I think things are going to move, right? This, much better in terms of, like you say, actually seeing the board, making it a little bit more dynamic and seeing like the 3D models that we all love and stuff. So yeah, totally get what you mean. I think there's a nice balance to be struck at some point. It'll be good to try out that top-down camera at some point.
I do like the idea, actually. It is something I have toyed with the idea of doing, is being able to switch between, because especially when we're talking about angles, we had that earlier with the Grand Inquisitor barrel rolling out. It would have been really nice for us to be able to look down and almost draw that line on the screen ourselves to show. I mean, at the point we wouldn't be able to see what they see because their heads would have been in the way, which is very, very rude.
I mean, we're getting far too advanced for our technical skills here, Phil, but yeah, sure.
Yeah, true, but you never know. We're going to learn, and if anyone's going to be able to do it, we can hopefully do it. Well, it's worth a try. And if it doesn't work, I just won't put it up on YouTube.
There you go.
And then we have some more attacks coming back into Crassus, and it was a hit crit, but we're going to roll Elusive. A really good one. Elusive allowing you to re-roll and evade dice. So there was a hit, and a crit did go through, and it is Fuel Leak. Now that is a crit you definitely do not want to get when you have quite a few hull left. So for those of you that aren't familiar with that, and just like myself, will probably have to reread the card when it comes up. Fuel Leak, after you suffer 1 critical damage, suffer 1 regular damage and repair this card. So any crits that come in now are essentially direct hits. It'll be a crit and a damage straight away.
That's really good.
Really, really tough damage to get. You normally tend to find that one comes out when you have 1 hull left after, so it's pointless. But yeah, so it's quite a tough one to get now, especially with 1 more attack coming
especially
through.
with two hull left.
2 hull left. That's 1 crit
could
gone.
Be 1. Yeah, exactly.
1 crit down. So
interesting. What kind of damage can he do back? He really needs a big turn now if he's going to stand any chance. He needs a really big turn. Which 2?
There is no 2 hits, but 2 evades.
I can't really see him. I can't really see him coming back from this, Phil. I'll be honest.
It would. I don't think I've ever seen it happen either. Unfortunately, I would love. It would be amazing to see it. I mean, right now,
he's playing you, so I'm rooting for Ed, but, you know.
Thank you very much, as always. But I mean, in fairness to Ed, I think he's flown very well there. I mean, his Fen Rao, it did exactly what it was supposed to do, which was cause some damage, took out Soontir Fel, who is possibly one of the more dangerous pieces on my side there.
Absolutely.
He did really well with the Black Sun Soldier, forcing the defender to take a couple of turns to take him out, dragging the defender further down the board, giving Crassus that time to survive longer. It's a shame that Crassus wasn't able to capitalise on that and get some damage in there.
Yeah, I think to be fair to Ed, though, I think if we go right back to the start when I think the cluster missile changed the game.
Yeah, the cluster missile was the turning point.
Fen Rao having those two hull, I think, would have forced Ed's hands to make him think, right, okay, what can I trade Fen Rao for before he just goes off the board and does nothing? Yeah. Soontir Fel isn't a bad shout. If you look at the points, though, he's still in a 20-point deficit when you trade.
Yeah.
So there is that. You are still taking a negative there. I'm sure Fen Rao would have been better to put up against Countess Ryad along with the Black Sun Soldier. Hope that you take him out and then start working on Soontir as a trade. I think that's the general thing after retrospectively going through this game that you would have preferred to have happened. Cluster missiles have changed that. I think Ed's been fighting an uphill battle since that point. Like I said, the Black Sun Soldier, his only option was basically lead Countess Ryad on a merry chase, and he just couldn't do it for long enough.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Again, I completely agree there. If Fen Rao and the Black Sun Soldier were able to maybe pin down either Countess Ryad or even the Grand Inquisitor. Again, the Grand Inquisitor is still slightly cheaper than Soontir, but if they were able to coordinate together and take out one of those ships, I mean, I'm biased. I love Soontir Fel. I think it's a great ship, but I do think that all in all, on the table, Countess Ryad and the Grand Inquisitor are potentially better ships. They've got better utility. They're a bit tougher to take out. The Grand Inquisitor has the Force, which is an amazing bit of kit there for them to use.
Yeah, they're better all-rounders, right?
Yeah, they're better
Soontir Fel is very, very good at being a glass cannon. He's very good at hitting and moving and trying to not be hit. So,
and there we go. That's the last round of shooting there. I think we've kind of agreed it was a bit of a foregone conclusion there.
It was a little bit.
But again, very well flown by Ed. I think the basis there of what he was trying to do was absolutely right. I just think as you said, the cluster missiles was rather unfortunate for him. Very unlucky there. Losing Fen Rao as early as he did, I think, is what caused a lot of issues in the game there, and not being able to really utilise those ion missiles, unfortunately. Everything else he had there was looking really good, but it was just a few things that didn't quite pan out for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunate there. GG, Ed.
Yeah, GG, Ed. But again, thank you very much, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. We will hopefully be back with you soon with another game. But in the meantime, please like and subscribe and leave any comments down below. Thank you very much.